I would dare say that most, if not all, chronically ill individuals have heard at least once in their lifetimes that people don't believe that their invisible illness is real because they can't see it, because it's invisible. And a lot of us have been hurt by such an assumption in various areas of our lives. So recently, with the growth of social media platforms, a lot of us have made accounts to try and spread awareness and end the stigma of invisible chronic illnesses. Now, let's talk about a largely inaccurate and very damaging article that was recently published by Daily Mail Online, who tries to confirm these ideas, which are false. Let's talk about that. Fancy meeting you here. My name is Brittany, and this channel documents my life as a mom with multiple chronic illnesses, both mental and physical. I'm so glad you stopped by my video, and I hope you learned something helpful. So the other day, I don't know which day, but it was recent, sometime this week, there was an article published by Daily Mail Online by one Emma James. Let me read you the title, because it's a dang long, wordy title. I'll read it. It is called, Addicted to Being Sad, Teenage Girls with Invisible Illnesses, known as Spoonies, post TikToks of themselves crying or in hospital to generate thousands of likes as experts raise concerns over internet-induced wave of mass anxiety. Now, Ms. James, who wrote this article for Daily Mail, it is very obvious that these are her opinions, but she states them all as fact. So, this is a problem. I just want to clarify right now that I am probably going to get a little bit upset in this video because the contents of this video make me upset. So, just know that I'm not mad at you. You did nothing wrong that I know of. I love you. Thanks for watching. But I'm just really sorry if I get a little worked up. I will try my best to refrain. But I promise nothing. Let's go. Now, Ms. James, who wrote this article, if you are a chronically ill individual and you know that all of this is 100% false, you can very clearly tell that she just stated lots of inaccurate opinions. But in her article, she states them all as if they are fact. And this is where it creates a problem, because all the other ignorant people who don't know that this is her opinion will read this and will apply what she says, and it will very much harm those who are chronically ill, invisibly ill, disabled, all of the above. The whole premise of this article is to state that a lot of teenage girls, I don't know why it focuses on teenage girls, because I know of a lot of adult women as well who do this, but she says teenage girls are making like TikTok and Instagram accounts just to get attention and likes, and she is saying that these girls are faking invisible illnesses for clout, basically. So here is a direct quote from the article, how she wants to explain the situation. I will be reading from down here. Thousands of teens are banding together on social media as part of the movement, which also encourages them to lie to doctors in order to get the diagnosis that they want. 100% false. I'm not saying that there are no people in the world who do this. There probably are some, but I would dare say that most of us who claim chronic illness are telling the truth. We actually have an invisible chronic illness, which prevents us from doing things like being employed, or going out with friends, or doing household chores. It's not because we're lazy and we want to get out of these things, but we simply cannot because of the symptoms that come with these very real chronic illnesses. This author dares to accuse us of lying and faking our illnesses, but then in the same page she posts screenshots of some of these girls on TikTok and Instagram where these girls have tubes inserted into their bodies. I would guess it was probably a feeding tube in the stomach and perchance a port up here. It's like a permanent IV, I think. I don't have one, but that's what I've heard. Right here, a thing inserted into her skin. Now, I 100% can guarantee you that no good ethical doctor would just hand these out. These are dangerous procedures with lots of side effects? Would that be the right word? Nevertheless, it's the word we're using. These are dangerous procedures with lots of potential complications, we could say that. And a doctor would not just give it to a young girl who said, hey, I would like more views and likes on my TikTok page. Please insert tubing into my abdomen. No, that does not happen. So Emma James is trying to accuse these girls of lying while simultaneously using these screenshots of tubes coming out of them. What? I don't understand that. Also, by the way, she used several screenshots of TikToks and Instagram accounts where she in no way gave any anonymity to these girls whatsoever. No blurred faces, no blurred usernames. Their information is just out there with no regard whatsoever to their internet safety. I understand that these girls, women, have put that publicly on the internet under their own discretion. I understand that, but Emma James is specifically attacking them while also posting the information on where to find them. So if ignorant somebodies, read this article and they get really upset about it, they can find those girls with those accounts and go and harm them in some way. They can become bullies on their pages. I'm sure if someone was crazy enough, they could probably dox these people. Unsafe. You feel me? And she states that this community of chronically ill girls is helping each other figure out the right lies to tell their doctors to get the diagnosis that they want. No. The main reason for these accounts is to spread awareness and the stigma, which apparently has just completely backfired with this Miss Emma James. So she does not seem to be understanding the point here. Now, I can tell you, personal experience, it's not just a fun thing we do to go to the doctor and say, hey, I've been feeling this symptom that I found on Google, this symptom that I also found on Google, this symptom that was also on Google but a different page. See, I did my work. I compiled different sources on how to lie to you to get the diagnosis. No, nobody does that. I personally have taken 8 entire years to get one diagnosis. It's not a fun game. It's dang expensive. And it's just real inconvenient. Nobody's faking this. Maybe someone. Most of us are not faking this. I need to take a breath. Consider the breath taken. And again, we're not trying to get a certain diagnosis that we want. It is a diagnosis that we need. The symptoms stay the same whether or not you have a diagnosis attached to them. For the entire 8 years before my doctor said, yes, fibromyalgia, before that, for 8 years, I was in pain constantly. I couldn't do things. I had weakness almost always. But that, just because I didn't have a diagnosis didn't mean that it wasn't real. But with the diagnosis, now it's easier to find treatments and assistance. Or if you have to apply for separate kinds of assistance, like I believe I used the disability office at my college to like so that they could help me do college easier because I couldn't do it the way most people could. And they would not help me unless a doctor said that I have this diagnosis. So we're not just looking for a diagnosis so we can just throw out a big word and look like, oh, woe is me, I have this big word diagnosis. No, we look for the diagnosis because we need it, because that's how we find treatments that could help. That's how we apply for assistance that could help. Some people can get, like, is it called SSA? Social Security Assistance or something in the USA. You can't get that without a legit doctor diagnosis. So we're not just doing this for fun. It's actually quite unfun. Would not recommend to anyone. Ms. James also makes a point to state that these girls and women post photos and videos of themselves, say, crying in bed or stuck in a hospital room. She says that we do it for pity and for likes and views to our pages. We do it because we are sharing these really vulnerable moments to show, like, you might see me and I look fine. That's a big thing that we get as chronically ill people with an invisible illness. We might mention it like, oh yeah, I have this illness. It's chronic and it really sucks and it hurts me here and here and it makes it really hard for this or whatever. And then people will say, you don't look sick. So maybe that's why we post these photos and videos, because these are the moments that you don't see. This is how sick I am. You don't see it. That doesn't mean I'm lying to you. Does this make sense? This makes sense. We understand that for a perfectly healthy person, this may be impossible to comprehend. People will say all the time, you can't be in pain always. It has to go away sometimes. False. No. Just because you've never experienced it and you can't see it on me doesn't mean it's a lie. She also brings up the point of medical gaslighting, which I can tell you is so real. So real. The way she talks about this just makes it very obvious to me that she is very fortunate that she has not had to go to the doctor often enough in her life to experience this. For chronically ill people, it's like at least half the time. For me anyway, at least half the time. The very first time, let me tell you, when I went into the doctor, when my fibromyalgia just started, it just started in my wrist, right? That's it. But it was not going away. So I went to the doctor and I was like, hey, this really hurts. I can't do this or this or this or, I didn't do anything. It just started hurting. I don't know what it is. And then he notices over here there's a Band-Aid from like a self-harm. He made me take the Band-Aid off and show him. And I was like, dude, I don't have any more of these freaking Band-Aids. Thanks for wasting that one. Irrelevant right now. Anyway, he made me take it off and show him. He saw that it was a very, very superficial wound. I don't think it even bled that much, to be honest. And he had the gall to tell me that is why this hurts. It is my own fault. How dare I do that to myself because now this hurts and I'm bothering him making this appointment. Tell me medical gaslighting isn't real, girl. Tell me. Doctors sometimes suck. Now, to be fair, there are plenty of good, honest, lovely doctors. I actually had one back in California right before we moved here. She was my rheumatologist, and she was new. I had just started seeing her. I only saw her like 2 or 3 times, so I'm real bummed. So I am saying there are good doctors out there. But in my experience, and from what I see others post on social media, who are not lying about it, I can tell you, most, maybe half, if not more, of the doctors that we see as chronically ill patients will dismiss you. They don't care about your symptoms. They tell you that you're lying to them. They'll tell you that you're faking it for attention. Even doctors say this outrageous lie. So I'm just saying, medical gaslighting is a real thing. So don't gaslight us telling us that it's not real. There's too much gaslighting going on here. Stop it. Here is where we get to a little bit of positivity in the situation. A fellow chronic illness advocate, I don't know her, I've never met her, but she created a petition on change.org to try and get this article removed. Now, I am not one to get offended easily. I try not to do that. I am not asking for help with this because I am offended. I am asking for help because this is absolutely damaging and harmful to the entire chronic illness community. All of us. This is damaging. It is hurtful. If other people read this and believe what Emma James is writing, that will come back and it will hurt us. Not her. She clearly doesn't care. It doesn't affect her in any way. Us. The people who actually need extra help. We won't be getting it now. We will probably be getting even less attention and assistance than typical people because we are now viewed as liars and fakers. So let me tell you about this change.org petition. I will have the link down there. This was a fun thing I did last video, so I'm going to stick with it. It is down there, the link for this petition. Please sign it. I will be so very grateful. But now let me give you more information about it. This fellow advocate, this is a long name. She said that she contacted the Independent Press Standards Organization to tell them about this, all this damage that could be done from this article. And they replied to her saying that the editorial codes in place for journalism in print does not apply the same to journalism online. So they might not even be able to intervene. So then she looked through the ethical codes from the National Union of Journalists and the Society of Professional Journalists. That sounds like it's two different organizations. So I don't know, but I believe her. So we're going to continue. She specifically listed these 7 ethical codes that have been broken by this article. Let me read them to you. First, striving to avoid prejudicial reference to an individual color, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, or to any physical or mental illness or disability. 2, clearly distinguish between comment, conjecture, and fact. That absolutely was not done. She stated all of these things as if they were 100% proven fact, when really they were all just her opinion. Grossly misinformed opinion. Number 3, show compassion for those who may be affected by this news coverage. Use heightened sensitivity when dealing with juveniles. This article is literally about and has emphasis on chronically ill and disabled teenagers, minors, juveniles. That's the word they used. Same thing. Number 4, strives to ensure that information disseminated is honestly conveyed, accurate, and fair. Didn't do that, not one bit. 5, avoid stereotyping. Journalists should examine the ways in which their values and experiences may shape their reporting. For example, I'm obviously perfectly healthy and have never gone to a doctor to experience medical gaslighting, so obviously it's fake. That was Emma James. That's what I just did. Number 6, does the most to correct harmful inaccuracies. No. She did not put any effort whatsoever to fact check this. And number 7, provide context. Take special care not to misrepresent or oversimplify in promoting, previewing, or summarizing the story. All of these things she did not do. In an update from this fellow advocate, Emma James quoted one of these chronically ill TikTokers, Instagrammers, one of them, who specifically said that she's doing this so that she can get out of things that she hates doing, like going to work, and I don't remember other things that she said that she doesn't like doing these things, and so she's like, oh, chronic illness, I can't. And this girl who did the petition said that the other girl who was quoted as saying these things came forward publicly and said she never said anything like that. I did try to Google it to see if I could find where she said that. I couldn't. So I cannot promise that that is true, but I dang believe it. I really don't think somebody would say that. Even if you are faking it, why would you publicly proclaim, hey, I'm faking it just so I can get out of this stuff? Why would you say that? Even if it was true. That's stupid. So I would dare side with the petition organizer that that girl probably never said anything like it. All in all, if Emma James were to post something like this on, say, her own Twitter, her own personal Facebook timeline, that might be appropriate. It is her own opinion. People do that crap all the time. That would be appropriate. However, she published this as fact in a much more popular news source with a vastly larger audience who will read it. That is very inappropriate. She doesn't know who will come across this article, how much they will believe what she said, and maybe the few of us chronically ill people who can handle a job, employment, will lose their jobs because of that, or will be treated less fairly at their jobs. What kind of harm and damage will happen in the lives of chronically ill people because of this article? Again, I will link the change.org petition in the description box. Please sign it and share if you feel so inclined. I don't want to make you do anything you don't want to do, but I would appreciate it. I'm sure the entire chronic illness community would appreciate it. Okay, one more time here, I'm going to request a thumb down below. I would appreciate it. And if you have any experiences relevant to anything I said in this video, I would love to hear about it. Let's support each other. Leave a comment. Toodles! This is going to be a dang messy video. I'm already upset.